everyone, and welcome to another episode of Upgrades. I'm Jeremy Knoll.
And I'm John Suarez.
And today we are talking about the Ruinous Powers deck from Warhammer 40,000 Commander decks. This one is the Chaos Marines deck that is blue, black, and red. And this one's pretty sweet. I'm liking how this one looks.
This was the first preview cards, I believe, when they first started saying something about Warhammer.
Yeah. And these ones are really cool. There's a little bit of a, I say a little bit, there's a lot of a Cascade theme in this, which is really cool in a Grixis deck. And the first off, before we go over any cards, we're going to go over some stats from the deck. First thing is that there are 29 creatures outside of the commander, 10 instants, 7 sorceries, 10 artifacts, 5 enchantments, and 38 lands. And like the rest of the decks, this one has 41 new cards in the deck. So we're not going to go over all 41 cards. We are only going to be going over about 10 of the new cards to kind of give you an idea of what some of these do. So first up is our face card for the deck, and that's Abaddon the Despoiler. This is a legendary creature, Asteris Warrior, 5/5. It costs 2 colorless, or 2 generic, blue, black, red. It has trample, and it says during your turn, spells you cast from your hand with mana value X or less have Cascade, where X is the total amount of life your opponents have lost this turn.
Sweet card.
That's so cool.
I like that it doesn't have to be in play when you initially deal the damage, because once it's in play, it's asking the question, how much life has your opponent's left?
Yep.
That's all that matters. Very, very cool card. The other commander in the deck that you could just put right at the helm of it, fits the colors, is Bellacor, the Dark Master. 3 colors, blue, black, red. 6/5 legendary creature, Demon Noble. Has flying, is Prince of Chaos. When it enters the battlefield, you draw X cards and you lose X life, where X is the number of demons you control. So at the very least, drawing a card, losing a life. Lord of Torment. Whenever another demon enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target.
Yeah.
Which is obnoxious.
This is about half demons, I'd say, out of here. So you're going to be having something like in the low teens, just straight out of the box, if you're not going to be upgrading it at all for the demon aspect of it. And there are a couple other ways that you can draw those cards and stuff like that in the deck. But
yeah, there's 17 demons out of the 29 creatures in the deck.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was low, but probably from mid to high teens there. So, all right, so those are the 2 cards that you can make the commander out of the deck. The next one is going to be Dark Apostle. This is a 3/3 Asterisk Warlock for 3 and a red. It has Gift of Chaos, and this also kind of shows the fact that this is a Cascade theme deck. Gift of Chaos is pay 3, tap it. The next non-creature spell you cast this turn has Cascade.
Yeah, it's sweet.
That card is super cool.
Yeah, it is.
That ability is super cool.
Big fan of Cascade. Love value. This deck just ekes a ton of value.
Yeah.
Next card we have is Heralds of Zinch. 4 colors and a blue. It is a creature demon, flying, Cascade, and is a 3/3. Real simple, real clean.
Yeah. Just to kind of show that they really were pushing the Cascade theme in this deck. Another legendary creature from the deck that is not going to be able to be the face or be the head of the deck if you want to play it out of the box is Magnus the Red. This legendary creature, Demon Primarch, for 3 blue and red. It's a 4/5 flyer, and it has Unearthly Power. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each creature token you control. And then Blade of the Magnus. Whenever Magnus the Red deals combat damage to a player, create a 3/3 red spawn creature token.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good card.
Yeah, being able to reduce the cost of your instant sorceries is really good, especially when you want to get those used for cascading.
Yep. We have another legendary creature here, and this is another demon. I'm going to butcher the name. It's Mortarion, Demon Primarch. 5 colors and a black, 5/6 legendary creature. It's a Demon Primarch. Flying as Primarch of the Death Guard. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay X. If you do, create X 2/2 black Astartes Warrior creature tokens with Menace. X can't be greater than the amount of life you've lost this turn.
So that's an interesting one.
It is.
Because it is at the beginning of your end step, you get to create them. They do come in untapped, which is nice.
With Menace.
When they have Menace.
But you've had to lose a decent amount of life.
It is the
during your turn.
During your turn. But I'm saying it is nice that they come in untapped, so they can be blockers.
Yep.
But more than likely, you're going to use those to attack. So Our next one is an enchantment, the Ruinous Powers. It's 2 black, red, and it says, at the beginning of your upkeep, choose an opponent at random, exile the top card of that player's library until the end of your turn, or until the end of turn. You may play that card, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it. When you cast a spell this way, its owner loses life equal to its mana value. I love this card.
Yeah, I'm in for it.
I love all these, like, random, like, we're just going to get a peek. What are we doing? Oh, you're going to lose 4.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm going to get your Solemn Simulacrum, you know.
Sounds great.
Kind of nonsense. I love that so much.
Right in theme with the Chaos. So we have Chaos Mutation, 3 colorless blue and a red instant. Exile any number of target creatures controlled by different players. For each creature exiled this way, its controller reveals the top card of their library until they reveal a creature card and put it on the battlefield. And then put the rest on the bottom of their library in a random order. So it's just polymorph for your opponents.
Yeah.
Just toot.
Polymorph mixed with a little bit of a chaos warp if you want to try and get that out of for everybody. So but getting those problematic things out and hopefully hitting that smaller thing is going to be real nice.
This is my favorite card in the deck.
So, were you aware of the phrase before we started playing?
No.
So that was
absolutely
one of the few things that comes from Warhammer that I was really aware of was blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne.
No,
and
it's great though.
Yeah, but the card blood for the blood god is an instant for 8 black, and red. So it is 8 generic, a black, and a red. It's an instant that says, this spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature that died this turn. Discard your hand, then draw 8 cards. Blood for the Blood God deals 8 damage to each opponent, and then exile Blood for the Blood God. And the flavor text, Skulls for the Skull Throne. Gotta get it in there.
That card's great.
That card is so good.
Blasphemous and that card will be friends forever.
So good.
And the last new card we'll highlight is a Mandate of Abaddon. 3 colors and a black sorcery. Choose target creature you control. Destroy all creatures with power less than that creature's power.
Yeah, so each of the decks has like some form of wrath that really revolves around the deck itself. This one's really cool because it can really... if you're playing against the tokens deck, you can choose one that's like a 3 and get rid of all those little tokens and really go from there. So it's really cool. So there are a couple of different categories that we talked about, ways to kind of improve this deck. One is that you really want some cards that are going to give you passive damage. So you don't necessarily want to spend a lot of mana to do a lot of damage. You really want to be able to do more damage than the amount of mana you're spending so that you can get that cascade from the commander. But the first few are very similar. Firebrand Archer and Kessig Flame Breather are both see a lot of play in Spell Slinger decks. Firebrand Archer is a 2/1 for 1 and a red human archer. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. And then Kessig Flamebreaker is similar, 1/3 for 1 and a red. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it deals 1 damage to each opponent.
Just different power and toughness.
Just different power and toughness, but they're basically the same. And you're going to be able to do a lot of little stuff like that.
And then another card just like that with passive, but just a little bit better. Thermal Alchemist, because now you get to just tap it to deal a damage, so it's kind of similar. But whenever you play an instant or sorcery, you can untap it. So, a 0/3 defender to kind of hold the ground a little bit against small things. And then you can just kind of get a couple of damage here and there.
Same thing with Nettle Drone is a 2 and a red 3/1 Eldrazi drone. It's got Devoid and it taps to deal 1 damage to each opponent, and whenever you cast a colorless spell, untap Nettle Drone. So if you happen to cast any more like artifacts or anything like that, you're going to be able to untap that one.
And you have a Cryptolith Fragment here, which is just a mana rock for 3. It does come into play tap, but it does, when it's untapped and you can tap it, it adds mana of any color and everybody loses 1 life. So that's nice.
And then Gutter Snipe, another staple in Spellslinger style decks, 2/2 for 2 and a red, and it's a Goblin Shaman. Whenever you cast an sorcery spell, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. And the last one that's kind of like this one's that's a little on the edge for me, that if you upgrade the deck around a little bit more around treasures or any sort of artifact creation, Ingenious Artillerist is a new one that does a lot, where it's a 3/1 for 2 and a red human artificer. Whenever 1 or more artifacts enter the battlefield under your control, it deals that much damage to each opponent. So that can build up really quick, especially since you're already in red and black, which have very solid treasure, sub theme in those colors. If you build around treasures, that's going to also build up really, really quickly.
We do have a little bit more passive damages. This one you have to actually play something to do it, much like the other ones, but this one's for creatures, and that's Impact Tremors. Call in a red. Obviously, when a creature comes into play, it deals 1 to every opponent. So if you can play some of these smaller, other creatures we just talked about after an Impact Tremors is out, you'll be able to deal a bunch of damage. It's not hard to do 3 to 5 damage pretty easily.
Yeah.
If you can have your Abaddon in play.
And one of the nice things about like a lot of these passive ones, especially like the Firebrand Archer, Cassock Flamebreaker, stuff like that, and the pingers that untap, is that they're just going to deal more damage over the course of the turn. So if you happen to get an even bigger spell later, you can cast like your Brainstorms and your stuff like that. That's really cheap and ping everybody.
Yep.
And then untap and then cast another really big spell and be able to cascade into something like that. The next passive damage is Piedron Diata. It's a planeswalker. 1 blue, black, red. It has protection from permanents with corruption counters on them. Comes with 4 loyalty. The first ability is really the one we're focusing on, and that is +1. Each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Put a corruption counter on up to 1 other target creature or planeswalker.
Yep.
The other ones are slightly less relevant, but could be useful. -3, gain control of target creature or planeswalker until end of turn. Untap it, put a corruption counter on it, gains haste. And then -7 is gain control of each permanent with a corruption counter on it.
Yep.
You really just kind of want to take this up over and over and over again to get that added damage. So
for sure. Another enchantment we have, Court of Ambition. 2 colors and a black. 2 colors, black. When it enters the battlefield, you become the monarch, obviously. At the beginning of your upkeep, it deals 3 damage. Or each opponent loses 3 life unless they discard a card. And if you're the monarch, they could take 6 life or discard 2 cards.
Yep. So this is one that's it's going to be like a hit or miss, but honestly, being able to deal the damage or get that life loss is going to be great. But if they're discarding cards,
but not everyone's going to discard, so
not everyone's
you're going to get some amount of life there.
And the last one is a little bit similar to like a Court or Diata, and that's Palis Siege. This has been reprinted quite a few times in some precons and stuff. It's a enchantment for 3 black, and it says when it enters the battlefield, choose cons or dragons. Cons is at the beginning of your upkeep, return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, dragons is the one we want here, and that's at the beginning of your upkeep. Each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life.
Yep. Sweet one. I see you have a section labeled Big Damage.
Big Damage. As I was saying before, if you're really looking for something where you're going to be getting a lot more life loss than you are going to be spending. So one of the first ones that I thought of was obviously playing with Stephen Green forever. It's just Lightning Bolt. And that's a really good rate. You're going to be able to do 3 damage to somebody and get that extra 3 as your X for 1 red mana.
But that's not big damage.
That's not big damage.
That's not what this is.
Nah.
So the first card we have here is Gray Merchant of Asphodel. 3 colors, black. Everybody knows Gary. Zombie 2/4. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black, and then you gain life equal to the life lost this way.
Yeah, this one's a little bit more of a black deck out of the box. So if you're keeping it pretty standard of what you have, it's leans a little bit more black and then red and then blue's pretty low. So you're going to be able to get a pretty good value out of this one here. The next one, I'm actually going to jump down here to one from Streets of New Capenna, and that's Meisters Charm. And I think this is one that people are going to underlook a little bit, and that is an instant for a blue, black, and red. It's just one of the 3 color charms. And it says choose one, look at the top 5 cards of your library, put one of those cards into your hand, the rest of your graveyard. Each opponent loses 3 life, and you gain 3 life. And then it deals 5 damage to target your planeswalker. Yeah. 9 points that X can go into for 3 mana, and you gain like 3 life randomly. It's going to be real good.
Yeah, so is this other card, which is Price of Progress. Calls in a red instant, deals damage equal to the number of non-basic lands.
Twice.
Yeah, twice the number of non-basic lands they control. This card will deal, on average, I'm going to guess somewhere in the neighborhood of, I don't know, 20-something damage to the 3 players.
You're going to take a little bit as well.
You're going to take a little bit as well.
But you're really going to be getting people.
Yeah, you'll be able to cascade for whatever's in your deck.
Yeah.
You cascade the largest amount.
Price of Progress is going to be one that's going to be a little bit harder if you're playing the precons like upgraded against each other, because you obviously have the mono black one in there, so there's not going to be many non-basics in that deck. But for the way that most Commander games go nowadays, everybody's playing 2+ colors for the most part, and they're playing a lot of non-basics.
Yeah, that card's rude.
Be rude, yeah. The next one is one that I really like. We've talked about it in many of our upgrade videos, and that's Sir Conrad the Grim. Legendary creature, human knight, 5/4, 3 black. Whenever another creature dies, or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, Sir Conrad the Grim deals 1 damage to each opponent, and then pay 1 in the black. Each player mills a card.
I think Sir Conrad would be fair if you took any one of those lines out but with the or in it.
Yeah.
The creature dies, or put in the graveyard from anywhere, or a creature leaves your graveyard. Just take any one of those 3 out. It probably would have been a fair card.
Yeah, it'd been a lot more fair. But yeah, this one sees a decent amount of play, and it's gonna
continue. That's for sure.
Yeah.
The last card we have is Jessica, Thrice Reborn. 2 colors in a red, is a planeswalker with 0 loyalty. Because it enters the battlefield with a loyalty counter on it for each time you've cast it from the command zone this game.
Cast a commander.
Or a command zone. Or a commander, because it is a partner. So when you play it, if you've already played your commander, it'll get that.
Yeah.
It's 0. Choose target creature until your next turn. If that creature would deal combat damage to one of your opponents, it deals triple that damage instead.
Yep.
And then you can minus X, and it'll deal X damage to each of up to 3 targets.
Yeah, so this one's one you're going to have to wait just a little bit longer, but as long as you have Abaddon out for a turn, and you've played it at least once, you're going to get to be able to play Jessica, 0 that, triple the damage on one of your evasive creatures that is going to just get through and deal triple damage. And
and you'll be able to cascade from there with the next spell.
Yeah, so lots of really cool things in this deck, I think. It's really interesting seeing Cascade in an Grixis deck, as it's normally been a little bit more of a teamer ability.
Has it? They make one legendary creature, and all of a sudden it's a teamer mechanic.
Yeah, it sees a lot more in
Maelstrom Wonder has made it more popular
in red than anything else, I think. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about this deck. I think this one's going to be really.
It has a lot of really cool cards. I think a couple of the legendary creatures are probably going to become their own staples. I know which one was it? The see if I can find it really quickly. The demon that we talked about. I think demons are an underrated tribe. They're like really mean dragons, which I like a lot. Yeah, because they fly.
Yeah,
much like dragons.
Having access to more than just black for your demons in your demon deck is also really good.
Yes,
because even though you're not going to really be playing many blue demons,
you had red already, but now at least you have more.
Yeah,
if you want them.
Yeah, you're not going to be playing many of them, but giving you the ability to do things like just have like some counter magic and stuff like that in your deck. That's not just going to be dash hopes or whatever.
Yep.
Other kind of very situational black countering that they have there. But yeah, this is a really cool one. All these are really cool decks. I highly suggest check them out. You can play them right out of the box very, very easily. They're really cool. You can also upgrade them with these few upgrades. So that's all we've got for this one. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, binge, and make sure to let us know what cards you would add to the deck in the comments below. And for Jonathan Suarez, I'm Jeremy Knoll. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.